Daily Homes, Chuck here. We got a list of 10 properties today, so relatively quiet for a Monday, but we're thinking as we get into December, we're going to start to see a little bit less and less of the new listings coming out. Good news for the people that are out there that now they're competing against a little bit less, and for buyers it can be a good thing too, because as people start putting their homes for sale this time of year, you know that there's usually a pretty good reason why. So it can be a real win-win. And if I'm not all here today, you'll have to excuse me. I just went to my first CrossFit class this morning, and it was good. It was a somewhat enjoyable experience with a fair amount of pain mixed in. But anyways, it was very intense workout, and well, let's see what happens. I'm going to give it 30 days. I'm going to see how it changes me, and off we go. But it's definitely a unique environment, and there's a lot of neat things about it. So let's start off with Woodward, and it's at 245.9, and it's a 3-story. There's some 2 stories in this complex as well. There is electric baseboard heat in here, so that's something to think about too. You got toys right against the electric baseboard. Not sure how good of an idea it is, but they've got some upgraded flooring here. It looks like they've changed the dishwasher. It might be the original stove there. Overall, this one looks pretty similar to one that sold in the 240s in the spring. And obviously we know the market's changed a little bit since the spring. It went up and then kind of came back down a little bit. It's in a competitive range. Being under 250 is definitely where these guys want it to be. The electric baseboard, if you leave them running, can cost a lot more to heat a house. So we've got 100 mil center. It's the Penthouse 6, 359.9. And we don't see a lot of these that come up for sale. And there was one on the first floor that sold recently, for less than this. And this is about 1225 square feet. It's a big open layout. You've got a nice view of Mill Pond. Actually, a really nice floor plan here. They've got the original cabinets, but they've upgraded with the backsplash. They put in some granite counters, under-mounted sink. And I think overall it's neutral, it's clean, it's tidy, the building's great. $650 is the maintenance fees, and it includes pretty much everything, cable TV and all the rest of it, all the utilities. They've got the 2 bedrooms, so the master obviously, and then they also have a second bedroom with a bit of an office space, and there's also a Murphy bed. So if you work from home, this could really be an ideal place. It's already set up with the desk, it's kind of built in, and then you also have a bed that can come down, and so you get the best of both uses on the second bedroom. It's almost like having 3 bedrooms, but you only have 2. Now, price-wise, it's a little tough to pull the comps. A lot of the 2 bedrooms in this building that are a little bit more basic end up selling sort of closer to 280 to 300, and so these guys obviously have the appeal of being in the penthouse, and they also have some pretty decent upgrades inside. The carpet's been replaced, and there was one unit that was a little bit more upgraded that sold a year and a half ago for around the same price, and that's probably their closest comparison. So whenever there's subjective numbers where there's not a lot of, like for example, if you had your neighbor that was exactly the same home that sold a week ago, proximity is there, similar condition, similar size if it's the same model as you have a pretty good idea on the value, except obviously if there was a high level of motivation, divorce or job change where they had to sell. But assuming that it was regular motivation, you'd have a pretty good sense of where things are at. When you don't have that, it's a little bit more open to interpretation, which can help or hurt sellers. Obviously, you know where you're at on this side. It's easy to prove it. On this side, it really comes down to the negotiating. It's about proving a point. It's about really going into court and really stating your case on why it's worth that much. So Edwards is 359. 1130 square feet, hardwood floors. Is basically one big room. They've got a central vac that's a kick plate, so you just sweep your stuff right in there, and then the central vacuum picks it right up. This model sold, I thought it was a really low sale over on Short Read backing onto the park. For less than this. We sold one a lot higher. It was a good looking model with the finished basement here. Probably a fair range because there's a little bit of 2 stories going on with these models right now. The high and the low versions of the sales. Much like a lot of the market right now, is we're seeing the guys that really need to get out that are selling for a lower number, and some people are holding out and getting a pretty, let's say, substantially better option, but it takes them a bit longer. It could be a lot more difficult, and they need to have all wheels firing on those. So Gowling is $419. It's only about a 1380 square foot home. It looks like it's got some lot premium here. You can see the pond obviously from the upstairs. Bit of a shed there too, but the actual home itself, there's a small dining room just behind the kitchen. You've got the kitchen here, and then it overlooks the family room. So there's the dining room I was just talking about. Two somewhat smaller bedrooms, and the master is huge. It's half of the upstairs. There's 2 full bathrooms upstairs. This is the model that I moved into when I first got to Milton. I thought it was a great floor plan. I still do. And it looks like they've got a finished basement as well, which is something that's not reflected necessarily in the pictures. Dill's Crescent. Now, I reviewed this one maybe 2 weeks ago, and they've canceled, they've relisted it. Get ready for this. My comment before was that Poison Ivy from the Batman movies probably lives here because it's intense. Like, I don't even know what to say. This is one of those homes that literally leaves me speechless. It's let's just say it's a fascinating looking home, at least from the pictures, and that's all I'm going to say about that. It will be an interesting one to sell. Bonham Crescent is a townhouse at $435 with a finished basement. Fronting on the north side means it's probably pretty close to the train tracks if it's on Bonham, and carpet inside. And I don't know, to me it doesn't look like anything. I don't know if it deserves to be up in that range. We've got Ruddy Crescent, and it obviously looks like a brand new home. Derry and Armstrong, so it could be in the new development, the country homes there. $463 is the price, and you're basically getting a total of 2320 square feet, but almost 500 of that is in the basement. So you're talking maybe 1800 square feet semi with a finished basement. It doesn't seem equivalent. You can find the same home that Madame builds for like $430 right now. It's crazy the difference. I get that it's new, and I get that they've said, well, it's a separate entrance, this and that. I don't see the value in something like that. To put a separate entrance in a home is not usually a big deal. It's not worth 30 grand, I'll tell you that. So Bustle, $524.9. The same model's for sale right now, and it's not as nice inside, but it's for sale for almost $100,000 less. It's at $439, I think. So everything looks nice inside. The light fixtures, the furniture, I think adds something to the space, but that's really a lot of money for something like this. Backs onto green space, which could be a good thing. The yard actually looks pretty big from this shot here, about 95 feet deep. It's worth something. I don't know if I could argue that it's worth $524.9. Nairn Circle, $619. Here's the thing when you look at this, is I've said this a lot, your first showing is online. So if you look at this home, it's a big boring box. It's got stickers still on the appliances. There's basic light fixtures. You've got a mismatched hood fan. At least try and make the effort. You've got a staircase that's all curved based on the camera lens. But if a buyer's deciding, and right now between 620 and about 800,000, there's about 60 listings right now. They're deciding what are the 5 that I'm going to go see this weekend. So what makes this one a compelling argument? It's 43 by 100. That's fine. It looks like it's a pie-shaped lot, but there's no square footage here, right? No 9-foot ceilings on the main floor. Perfect. Maybe half of them have that. But how does someone judge whether or not to see this one? I would definitely want to see the square footage. I mean, I think that's a given for a home like this, that you definitely want to have that. So it's one of the things that's missing. So when the description is being written, I guess the best way for me to say it is imagine in order to catch the mouse, think like cheese. Okay, that's a good way to say it, because what are buyers really looking for? What are their comparisons? The more you could put yourself in that thought process, even when choosing a price, how much would a buyer believe our house is worth? That's the key to really understanding the process of selling your home. and it's worked for a lot of our clients. A lot of them will tell you that's one of the key differences in how we approach things compared to a lot of different agents. So Mary Street is 782.9, and it's on a 66 by 132 foot lot, and certainly a lot of charm. I definitely think that that this home is going to be appealing for someone who's looking for something. I think they used the term yesteryear in the comments. I swear I've seen this home before. I've been inside this home. I know it. It was for sale, I think, a long time ago. And it looks like there's an in-law addition. If I remember this home correctly, I remember that there was something, I think it's not the basement or anything. It's something on the main floor. And the only other thing that may be a concern for someone who's looking at a home like this is, so it's just a little bit west of Bell Street. And you can see Victoria Park's right here, City Hall's right here. So there's a lot, I mean, it's a very central location. So it's one of these homes here. I think it's this one right there. You've got commercial behind, so that's Main Street right there. So that would be one thing that can you see it? Is it something that would interfere with your enjoyment? Are the trees big enough that you don't really even notice it? That'd be one of the things that I just want to know about with this home. But besides that, I think it's a charming home. I mean, I think about what the home sold, was it Pearl or Pine or something like that? Really, really nice home for around the same price range, and completely different. This one's a little bit more sort of eclectic, whereas the other one was almost a completely renovated home, but it was very, very nice inside. It'd be interesting to see. That's probably their closest comparison at this point. So if you have any questions, give us a call. And if you need a hand buying a home, selling a home, or even investing, we attended a great investment seminar, and it reaffirms my beliefs that Milton's a great place to live. I don't know if there's a lot of really good investment properties that cash flow and pay for all the expenses that you need to pay for. And so there were actually 4 U.S. states that did I put 5? 4 U.S. states that really have been identified as good opportunities right now to invest. There were some great example properties. It's an amazing world out there if you know where to look. So if you want more information about that, let me know. We talked about doing an investment seminar later in possibly in December, maybe in January. So if you're interested in that, just send me a note too. So have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.